I know, obviously, you get a lot of stick for being a negative Arsenal fan. Obviously, seeing you smiling the whole way through this stream. How happy are you today with your team's performance?
Well, listen, there was two sides to Arsenal's game today. I thought going forward in terms of the open play, I don't think we was particularly great. I ain't going to lie. I'm not going to sit there and lie to people. I think the way we set up, we actually created the better chances, even those we was more the defensive side. Even though Spurs had the majority of the possession, I think in the first half in particular, we created the better chances, and there's one or two that we probably should have done better with. So in terms of that side of the game, I don't think Arsenal are great. And you can clip this if you like, yeah? Clip this if you like, because, as you just said, Mr. Negative over here, right? Mikel Arteta is not Mikel Arteta today. Mikel Simeone today, yeah? Mikel Simeone today. He deserves all the praise for that, the whole lot, right? Because the way that we set up today was perfect. Not just how well suited it was to the way that Spurs play and to counteract that, but also the players that we have missing, Rice, Odegaard, Sol's just touched on it. We got a midfield pivot of Thomas Partey, who has been very injury prone at Arsenal and is probably at the wrong end of his career. Jorginho is certainly at the wrong end of his career in terms of his legs not really being there. And what did Mikel Arteta do to counteract that? He said, "Right, look, we're going to keep it tight. No spaces in between. Let them come on to us. Let's see what they've got to offer, and we're going to hit them on the counter attack because we believe that we have the quality, when presented to score the goal." And look, it came from a set piece, but again, set pieces are part of the game. Arsenal are just very good at them, and Tottenham are absolutely shocking at them. Unfortunately for them, I don't want to ever hear the word Cuti Romero being mentioned in the same breath as a Gabriel or a William Saliba ever again. I said this last time as well. That guy, he's rash. He consistently lets Tottenham down, but yet their fans seem to want to put him in the same bracket as arguably the best defensive partnership in the world, if not definitely in the league. So I find that, and Spurs fans don't get too disheartened, all right? I know you're all on here blaming Ange and all the rest of it. It's just something that's ingrained into your team. You've been like this for years and years and years. The plucky loser. Yeah, that's just what Spurs have always been. So don't be too disheartened. But, when I look at them and the fact that he had the ambition to go and play three attacking minded midfielders up against the likes of Thomas Partey and Jorginho, who are, like I say, are at the wrong end of their career. And they offered absolutely nothing. Why? Because we
Mm.
shut them down. Timber was excellent today. Timber, I've been a bit unsure about his first couple of performances, but today he was brilliant. Gabriel was brilliant. Saliba is always brilliant. Ben White, I thought Thomas Partey did his job really well. Gabriel Martinelli, again, Saul's touched on it. Although he missed that opportunity in the first half and wasn't particularly deadly going forward, his defensive work was excellent. Same with Kai Havertz. That was just an all-round performance. And when I say, you got to credit the manager. The manager is the one who set us up like that, but the players have also got to carry it out. So you have to give praise to all of them, really. I even think
Mm.
when the substitutions came on, and you got Ethan Wanyeri playing up. Well, he was supposed to be playing on the right hand side. He was supposed to replace Bukayo Saka. And the fact that Gabriel Jesus went, look, I'm the experienced guy. I'll go out to the right. You do the little press up top. You ain't got too much responsibility. I think that was sensible by him. So we're showing a bit of maturity, But I am one of the fans who doesn't think Arsenal have done enough in the transfer window. And although we've won today, it does not change my mind. It does not change my mind that I'm worried about the extent of Odegaard's injury, how long he can be out for. Obviously we're going to get Declan Rice back in the next game, but just because Mikel Arteta has shown this against Tottenham, let's not forget Tottenham. Tottenham, like I just said, they're probably in and around top four. They're not a great side. We did this exact game plan to them last season. This is something that's worked for us before.
Yeah.
So to sit there and
yeah.
say that because he's done that today means that he can now find a solution to this problem, I don't think so, because every game's different.
Yeah. I understand it. I don't want to dwell too much on that. I think there's a conversation for later in the week on some of the other shows. I would say this. I don't think it answers or proves that you did enough in the summer. I equally don't think you've got an opinion you haven't. Some people have an opinion you have. I don't think 4 games into the season, anybody can be proven right or wrong. And I think that's maybe what's happened in the last 2 weeks with Arsenal fans. It's and we're all guilty of this at times with our clubs. It's we look for a very short level of sample size to get that confirmation bias to say, fucking knew I was right. The irony is all the people have said, there's no way our squad's strong enough. If you lost today and lose against City, they'd say, told you. If you win today, which you have, and then beat City away from home, those people won't go, I was wrong, actually. They'll go, wait, we'll still get... Do you know what I mean? It's just, I think people have got to wait on those conversations. Saad, you've been with us a long time. What did you make of Arsenal's... Arteta getting a lot of praise for the setup. How proud were you of that display and the 3 points?
Well, firstly, when are we going to start calling it 3 Point Lane? Are we going to inherit that name now, and it's just going to be 3 Point Lane from now on? Listen, I'm happy. This is exactly the game plan that we went out to do. I actually, if everybody looks at the actual game back, and you actually look back at it now, and you see Saka's job was exactly what Martinelli normally does, where Martinelli doesn't normally get a lot of the ball. He's more looked at to do the defensive duties going back. But this time it was actually Saka, because they knew Son was going to be on that side, which I think was brilliant. Obviously, Saka didn't get pocketed. There was not much of an attack over there, bro, because he didn't get the ball much. He really did not get the ball much. So, listen, I'm happy with the tactics. I think what was said about Mikel Arteta outclassing Ange 100% and basically beating him on the tactics that he used. Like, listen, this is what happens, man. I think Mikel Arteta is. And this is the reason why I wasn't worried about this game, especially. I think next game against Man City, I'm definitely going to be worried about some of the missing players like Erdegaard and stuff like that. But this game I wasn't worried about, because I know going to Tottenham, I know that we can beat them on counter, on set pieces. We can beat them. Yeah, bring up to the thing. We can beat them on We can beat them on a lot. What's happened? Are they losing?
No. Wolves just scored a goal. But it was basic, but so beautiful. It was a really good cross. And I'm not sure who it was. One of the players in the middle looked like he was going to shoot, and then he just dummied it and left it for the back post for Mario Jr. But it was just the coolness to dummy the ball instead of shooting in that scenario. It was a really good goal. Sorry. It was very, very good. So back to you.
And one thing I want to say, yeah, obviously, Timber, Gabriel, and Saliba, everybody said it already, so I'm not going to just continue to repeat it. They were brilliant, yeah. But one thing I do want to say is that this was one of the worst games I've ever seen from Ben White. One of the worst games in an Arsenal shirt, and this is very rare for him to have those games. It's very rare that you see Ben White have a game like that, where defensively he's all over the place. On the ball, he was all over the place. Passing wise, he was all over the place. And listen, I just hope that he's gotten that out of the system now, and he can go back to being the Ben White that I normally know, bro, which is somebody who's very good on the ball, technically above all of the other right backs, apart from obviously Trent. Trent is brilliant. But listen, I just think overall this was a very good test for our defense, just because of the test that's coming in next weekend. The test next weekend is massive, but we won't get into that too much because I know you've got the
yeah. No, I totally agree. Nathan, I want to ask you this question in reflection on your overall views on the performance today. 3 goals conceded away from home in the calendar year of 2024. This does appear to be a far more mature Arsenal beast than what we've seen in many, many a year.
Yeah, it does. And I think the whole squad have this sense of pride in defending, and you kind of see it with the work rate today. I think our midfield today, for instance, is not a midfield that we've seen tried and tested before, in the likes of Jorginho and Partey playing together. And even with the changes and the uncertainty of the 11, having never seen it before, not having zero sample size to see how that would work. There's a level of commitment and aggression and effort that we saw today, and the players left it all out on the pitch, and that could be seen, you know, with everybody. When Sterling came on, when Jesus came on, everybody applied themselves in that same manner, and you know that is the one thing, or one of the reasons why I find it quite comical when fans are quick to say sack Arteta or get rid of him, when you can see that the entire squad buy into his methodology and what he wants. And to go to Tottenham away with the injuries that we've had and the uncertainty of not knowing who's going to play where. We had Trossard today playing in a 10. I haven't seen Trossard play that 10 position ever at Arsenal, nor have I really seen it at Brighton either. So there was a lot of unknowns going into the game. So for us to kind of, you know, and with Martin Odegaard being so integral to the press for Trossard to come in and replicate that and offer us, you know, an option there today and actually do pretty well, it says a lot about the manager. And I think that's one of the things I wanted to touch on in regards to today, the differences in the two managers. I mean, we all spoke on the Heated Show about the tactic to beat Tottenham, and would be to sit back and defend. And you would think someone like Ange would have thought of or has another way to play football. And it was very much predictable. He did everything that we expected him to do. And they were there for the opening. We had chances. I think Martinelli should have scored. We could have scored before then. And even with set pieces. So for Arteta to come in today, and I think he deserves a lot of credit to do something different that we weren't really sure, to manage his squad. You know, play players who are used to, you know, playing in certain positions who have never played that role, and to get a tune out of them. And I think that speaks volumes to him, because that's not something we've really seen. I think we've been lucky to not really deal with injuries too much. I mean, we tended to have most of our 11, or most of, you know, the nucleus of the squad always fit. So I think I think it's positive.
And it certainly is. Look, viewers, we're going to go to some of your super chats that you guys have so kindly sent in today as well. First one says, Terry, do you think the ref was card heavy? I said this on yesterday's shows. I think in every televised game this weekend in the UK, the referees have done this weird thing about making sure they're booking people for letter of the law bookable offences. Cynical fouls very early, delaying restarts. We saw Bruno yesterday booked before he'd even stopped the game. But yet the 3 o'clock games, which weren't being televised, it was like watching football normally. So I thought he was definitely card heavy in this game. But then it was hearing Mike Dean. It was the most hilarious thing. Him and Gary Neville were talking, saying, well, if you're going to start booking people for all these letter of the law yellows, then you've got to raise the bar for the second yellow, as too many players are going to get sent off. To which my thought was, well, what's the fucking point of booking them then? The idea of being booked is that if you do another bookable offence, you get sent off. If you're going to raise the bar for the second yellow, just raise the bar for the first bloody one. This is them saving face, because they know that they didn't make a mistake by the letter of the law, but they know they've been inconsistent. So what they're doing is they're being overzealous with the yellow cards they're giving out. And over the next couple of weeks, you'll see it fade away. Arsenal fans obviously won today, so they won't be focusing on that as much. But yeah, he definitely had a stink of the referee. There's no doubt.
I think the issue is also going to be the amount of suspensions that add up if they continue to do this. I mean, the way they handed out yellow cards yesterday at the Chelsea game today, there's going to be a lot of players that pick up 5 yellow cards with ease at this rate. Right?
Really
So we're going to start missing a lot of quality players, and it's going to affect the overall quality of the league.
It won't last. It's like when remember that a few seasons ago, anyone who did a slight tug on a shirt in the penalty box, first 4 or 5 games of the season, you get lows and then it stops.